Rick, we have a final question. It's as follows. With the events we've watched unfold in the U.S. over the past few weeks, can you discuss your thinking and actions around diversity and inclusion?
Okay, thank you, Tim. Well, clearly a topic that both the executives and the board are giving a great deal of thought to. Ajay, you touched on this in your prepared remarks. Why don't you just expand a little on the comments you made?
Thank you, and I agree that the board and the management have discussed this. I think very often with the board we discuss diversity and inclusion, but clearly this question is prompted by recent events and recent activity, and the fact is these recent events in the United States have been horrifying. There is no place for racism or discrimination in our country, in our communities, in our company, in our hearts. This we believe deeply. At Mastercard, all of us, the board and management and employees, we stand above all for acceptance. Unfortunately, the challenge of systemic racism is not a new one in our country. It is a long-standing problem. But we are seeing in this moment a new awareness, a new dialogue, a new energy to right these wrongs and make the country a more just and fair place. The world is taking notice. America and the death of George Floyd and others is provoking a global conversation on racism, a problem almost everywhere. In this age, corporations must, should, and will take a lead, and Mastercard intends to lead. Our colleagues are calling for it. We owe them our conviction and our energy. Now, this is entirely consistent with who we are. For years, we have championed inclusion. We've talked about issues that matter to the Black community as well as others: financial inclusion, digital and banking deserts, reskilling, gig economy workers, portable benefits, and more. We've also acted, not just talked. We are long-standing partners of the National Urban League, the National Action Network, Operation Hope, and other civil rights organizations. We have a robust inclusion program at Mastercard led by our Chief Inclusion Officer, Randall Tucker. We are active and engaged business resource groups and a Global Inclusion Council. We have closed the racial pay gap. In fact, in 2019 in the United States, people of color earned slightly more than Caucasian employees on average. In response to the racism challenge, we have done much more in the last few weeks. We have tried to communicate clearly and personally our staunch support for Black lives and our opposition to racism. We made a further $5 million donation to the National Urban League. We hosted an open, candid conversation with more than 2,000 employees just last week, led by Michael Miebach, our President and CEO-elect. I joined the Business Roundtable Committee looking at police reform. But we recognize we can and must do more, and we're working on that now, and will be communicating to our global colleagues very shortly. We have named June 19th a Day of Solidarity and given our global employees a sixth day off on that day to bring value to their communities through volunteerism and to reflect. But beyond that, we shall focus on three pillars: our people, the market, and society. So for our people, we recognize that we have work to do to increase the representation of people of African American and Black origin on our management committee and senior leadership. That's an ongoing challenge, but we are on it. We are working on expanding inclusion training. We will build a deeper capacity for Mastercard colleagues to volunteer in ways that support Black communities. And we will make sure we maintain open channels of communication for Black colleagues to share their stories, some of them ever so painful, and for other colleagues to express their desire to be allies. For the market, we will look at how our products and services impact Black consumers. We believe for the good, but we also want to see if there are things we can improve. And we will look how to use our brand to combat racism and our Mastercard labs to support Black entrepreneurs. Finally, for society, we will double down to ensure our inclusion investments, led by Mike Froman and our Center for Inclusive Growth, can make positive contributions in Black communities. We will look at our political spending and advocacy, and we will make a constructive contribution to the national debate on police reform. We ask to be judged on what we accomplish, not our words. We are deeply committed to this because it extends our long-standing, passionate commitment to acceptance and to inclusion for all persons. Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to discuss such an important issue.